4 yards after contact from Kelly's Bar in Youngstown, Ohio.
This is the late Walter Cronkite, reminding you to tune in every Monday through Friday from noon to 3 on the Sports Animal 1390 for Ron Potesta and Sports Rap. He's a moron and you should listen to him. And that's the way it is for Tuesday, August 29th, 2017. This is Walter Cronkite saying bleep you and good night.
When you need good quality entertainment for your wedding, private party, or other event, give MVP Entertainment a call at 330 942 2424. We provide quality sound and lighting at great prices. To see what we do, check us out at Coach's Burger Bar in Poland, Ohio on Wednesdays from 6 to 9. On Thursdays, you can see us at Coach's in Salem, Ohio from 7 to 10. And on Sundays, Permani Brothers from 9 to midnight. MVP Entertainment, 330 942 2424.
And welcome back to Kelly's Bar for our final segment of Yards After Contact. Well, Willie Mitchell, J.D. Hall, very impressive, I have to say. Let's hope, for their sake, that they could pull it out with Canfield.
I talked to them while they were kind of in the hole to be interviewed, and it's not that they're like, they're not.
They're confident.
They're not cocky or confident, but they have confidence about them, and that's big. That's a big deal, and I think. But I can't say physically he's impressive. Did you shake his hand, man? His hand went around mine. It's not that I have big hands or anything, but it's, he's ready to play. They know that quarterback from Canfield's really good, and they know they're good up front, but they're ready to go.
And how about J.D. Hall? It's got to be exciting. A Struthers kid, ball boy, little wildcat. Now he's got it all in his hands right now as a junior.
Yeah, that stuff. That's your dream, man. I ball boyed for
those
Cheney growing up. Yeah, and I
yeah.
ball boyed for Cheney growing up. And if Ron Burtis was there when I was playing, I would have went and played for Ron Burtis. But you stay in those communities, man. And look at Paul Kemp at Ursuline. He was our ball boy, and then goes on to win 3 state championships. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just
So who do you give an edge to? Struthers, Canfield, all on the line, 4-0. A lot of secondary points for the rest of the season.
Honestly, after
putting you on the spot here,
after seeing Willie in person and seeing
he could do it?
Their confidence, it's on him. And from a kid that I talked to, if I'm betting money, I'm betting on that kid because just just how he looks, and Irus, he scares me. But here's my thing: they still have, I think.
We had the Canfield kids here the week before, and they were pretty impressive.
They have three offensive. They had 3 or 4 returning offensive linemen Struthers from the year before. They lose Iarusi, but what worries me with Canfield is 2 things. One is that schedule to make sure they're prepared to face a back like Willie is, and then the second thing is everything surrounds around that quarterback. He's not a physically big kid. He's about 170 pounds for Canfield, and their offense runs through him. So if you're running him every play, and you got a kid like Willie playing linebacker, you don't think he's got he might have his picture hanging up in the locker for all we know.
So who are you siding
I'm going to go with Struthers in this one, actually.
Struthers.
And I think after talking to them, I think that might be the first time that I'm in Canfield Stadium to watch a football game.
You're going to go?
I believe I think I'm leaning heavily that way.
I still haven't decided. If you ask me, put a gun to my head, who to pick between these two. As much as I very much enjoyed talking to Willie and J.D. Hall, I got to go with Canfield.
I may change my mind at the end of the segment, but who knows?
If Willie Mitchell and company proves me wrong, good for Struthers. But then, Ryan, they got to back up next week. Poland. Struthers don't get any easier, man.
No,
I think they go from the frying pan to the skillet right there.
Well, from Struthers, actually, they go Poland.
Yeah.
They got from there they go Niles.
Yeah.
They're at Niles, but they have Poland at home. They go at Niles. They're home
They have
against
Struthers
Jefferson.
at home, you mean?
Yes.
No, wait. Who are we talking?
We're talking.
Struthers has
about
Poland
Struthers.
at home.
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
They got Howland, Niles, Jefferson, and East left. So I mean, their schedule is not. This is their big one. You know, they still have to have Poland, but you're
Struthers has Lakeview week 10.
yes, Lakeview. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm reading both my schedules here backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like
That's
I said,
their only other threat other than the two coming up.
But this is a huge get for them, point wise,
Unbelievable.
confidence wise, because
Is
they
Struthers ready for prime time?
that's the big thing.
They made
But
it to the playoffs
you know,
before, but they didn't seem ready.
here's
maybe.
the thing. You know, this point in the year, normally, your Canfield's 3-1, and they're quietly
If
3-1.
Canfield's 1-3
And-
recently.
And that's what I'm saying. They're just quietly hanging around, or they're 2-2, and they end up, they go on a little run here. But now this is like, is Canfield ready for the big time at this point? So that's when this is a big game for both teams.
I'll take Canfield.
Okay,
Ursuline Harding.
Ursuline Harding. I will never pick. I just won't
Alumni
say
of Ursuline
never.
High School.
I'm going with Ursuline because honestly, their back's against the wall, and they
They
have.
gotta win. They have to win. There's no other choice.
I
But
feel
they're
like
getting beat up so.
I
Are
feel
they
like
getting
they've
beat up
played
too
more.
much? Is it
honestly,
going to be too tough for them?
injury-wise, for having to go against a battle, they've kind of held up. I mean, I just think the bumps and bruises are more than anybody else. But
But just taking these losses, they're getting beat up pretty good. in some of
I
these
think
games.
this will be one that maybe it'll slow down for them a little bit as opposed to what they've had. And going to Mollenkoff, it's almost like their home field for how many times they've
Okay,
played
so
at
you take
Mollenkoff
Ursuline?
recently. So I'm going to take Ursuline there.
I'm going to take Ursuline too. Who's Ursuline follow up with? Do you know?
Ursuline's got Steubenville. They have Steubenville. They have Rochester from New York, as we spoke about earlier. They still have Boardman, Mooney, and then St. V's. So
Well, there's a couple wins in there, but
yeah, I'm trying to see where our Harding note is. Harding in there. This is an absolute must-win for Harding.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
even a
man.
question.
I think their quarterback situation isn't very strong over there, and I think if they can pull it off on the ground,
Yeah.
that's their only chance.
Harding
With
goes
Adams
after this. They
running the
go
ball.
Lakeside, Boardman, Mooney, East, North. Akron North,
Oh,
yeah. So, but I mean, if you look from there, Lakeside's probably a win.
Yeah.
Boardman, no. I mean, they're beating them when they're in Lynn. I mean, that's a different ball game.
Yeah.
Mooney. It depends on where they're at there. Mooney may need that game at that point. They have East, but
Okay.
Brian Morrow gets the win. Who knows?
Well, let's go to Mooney and Boardman.
Mooney and Boardman. That one's.
I'll take Ursuline, by the way. I'll go with Ursuline.
Okay, you'll go with
You're-
Ursuline
okay.
there. For me, I'm gonna go with Boardman there. Although
Why?
I know Mooney, I think Boardman's got over that hump, and they know they need this game. I think that they're a different football team than they were last year. I think we talked earlier that they were riding so high going into it.
They're in the midst of a one-game losing streak.
And, I just think that there's gonna be so much hype around that game in that facility. The big, the Hall of Fame game.
100 years.
Yeah.
Bernie Kosar is going to be there, among others.
So who do you got there?
Well, that's a tough one for me. I saw Mooney in week 1. I thought they were going to be the real deal behind that offensive line with Antonio Page. Things haven't worked out for them. They've lost all 3 since then. I'm going to go with Boardman.
It's the same sense. I think. Now, would it surprise me if Mooney won? No,
No,
because
it's-
it's going to slow down a little bit, size-wise, and
historically, they're the big brother of the two. Whether you
know
like it
you're
or not.
on that
that's-
team, you're going to have a lot of kids that live in Boardman, so it's they know a lot of kids. But coming off that, after this, Boardman then's got Canfield. They go to Harding. They're at Ursuline at Stambaugh. They play their home against Fish, and they got Lakeside.
But these are the kind of teams they need to beat to become
So
relevant.
if you look at that, so now
become relevant, Boardman. Become
absolutely,
relevant.
because you win this game.
'Cause they're not relevant yet.
You're sitting 4-1, and you may be facing a Canfield team who's 5-0. I don't know, and riding high.
Boardman may have lost one of their best players, by the way.
And that's yet to be
Iarace.
determined.
He's a
and
great little junior running back.
You got to go to Mollenkoff, and that's always going to be a battle. You never know. And same, Ursuline. Ursuline's they lost last year. You don't think they'll have revenge on their mind? Maybe Ursuline's out of it at that point. I know Fitch is down, and you finish with Lakeside, but hopefully that Lakeside game for them is they're trying to end 9-1 and hosting a playoff game in that beautiful stadium.
Whoa. It's ambitious.
I mean,
For
honestly,
Boardman.
it's realistic at that point though, but it's got to start with this week. This is a huge.
So
get for
you're
them.
who?
I'm gonna go with Boardman. I think they're over the hump a little
I'll
bit.
take Boardman as well. South Range is always a juggernaut this year. Each week in and week out. I believe they go up to
South Range has Brookfield this week.
Brookfield, I can never-
Yeah, so Brookfield's rebuilding, so I think they'll get them this week. I think we're on the same page with
Yeah.
that. But then they have that big battle with Crestview. They have Sharon, which is an interesting matchup
Nice.
there.
Sharon's a
so
good ball
yeah,
club.
you know, Sharon's and that could be, and that's a nice little prep they can have there.
Sure.
And you know, they got Kenmore, St. Clairsville, and Sharpsville. So I think apparently they're in the Whipple or something. I think they have like 6 PA teams on their schedule. But
Is that South Range?
yeah, it's South Range.
Really? I know
Yeah.
they're independent. They got a
So,
tough
and
Gee.
just quickly looking at a couple of these schedules, I think it's what we talked about. Although this might be something you look at week 5, I think we'll start looking at them now because you have Girard.
Gerard's going to have tough sailing, even if they win out.
Yeah, they got Jefferson, Camel,
There's not a lot of
Newton
secondary
Falls,
points on their
Newton,
schedule.
Camel, Newton Falls, LeBray, and Liberty. I mean, there's not a
2-2, I think, is
yeah,
the best record out of all that.
The thing about this, all of those are must wins because 9-1,
Might not
secondary
get
level
10-0.
points.
Might even
Yeah, it
struggle.
may not get
They're
you
what,
in.
5 or 6 right now in their region, which
Mm-hmm.
is Poland, Struthers, Girard, Lakeview, all in the top 8.
You know, and Lakeview's a team we talked about earlier being a sneaky team.
Losing to Howland, though, at the beginning of the year, it must have been something going on there. I picked Lakeview, as you know, and they lost.
Lakeview's like, to me, in all those conferences around them, Lakeview's like that Northwestern where they're just kind of like a pain in everyone's butt. Maybe like an Iowa in the Big
'cause-
Ten where like,
And they're unorthodox usually in their approach. They could throw. You never know what Pavlansky's going to do.
you know, they'll lose
He's
to
not like Mike. He's a totally
Lakeview
yin and yang
lose
over
to
there.
Howland, but somehow they'll
Sorry,
beat
Mike.
they'll beat a Poland or a Struthers. You know, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's weird like that.
And they play week
you
10
know?
at Struthers.
Exactly, and they got Niles, Jefferson, Edgewood, Poland, Champion, and Struthers.
And,
So
if Struthers should lose the next 2 games,
yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
not, Lakeview could put a stake in their
Mm-hmm.
heart in week 10. That's a must-win game. 8-2 should get them in the playoffs.
I think
Struthers.
another one is a local team that we're kind of keeping our eyes on is Salem.
Salem, the Quakers.
Yeah,
I've been big on them.
Yeah, and I think
All
we're
year.
gonna get our eyes. We're gonna try to get them on the show here. But they're an undefeated team, correct? I mean, they got
Yeah,
Canton
4-0.
South, they
Big
got
game. 2 4-0
Wilmington,
teams.
Alliance.
Don't know what Canton South
or, excuse me,
brings.
Marlington. I mean, that 2 weeks, Canton South could be a good one. That could be a good.
It
It's
could be
one of
a
those
huge
ones.
win.
Yeah,
Huge
it's
win.
a huge win. Marlington is a 2-2 team in a couple weeks. That's a big one. You know, Louisville. They end with West Branch, but my man Bob's sliding in. This would be a good feature. Kelly's is now serving pizza here.
Is this Bellary related at all?
Actually, no. Other than the fact of me owning a couple of them, these are actually, it's a Kelly's recipe. We just got a pizza oven. You know, it's got to be something we add. This is kind of our salute to the Golden Dawn, who's been,
Wow.
you know, a legendary restaurant. I always have a place in my heart, but that's our salute there. So I know. Talk football, and I know Gary's excited to have a slice. He looks hungry throughout this whole thing.
Thanks. Let's go with Poland.
Um,
I think they play somebody. Easy.
this Edgewood.
Edgewood.
They
that's
have
it.
Edgewood,
Yeah.
and but I mean
That's a victory.
they could fall in that same little trap as Girard, where if they drop a couple games they're not supposed to, I mean that's schedule wise. Are they going to end up making it as we go? Because you got Edgewood, Struthers, East, Lakeview, Hubbard, Canfield going out. I mean, let's say you drop somehow in here you drop a Canfield and you drop a Struthers. Is there going to be enough points all the way through there to sneak you in? I don't know. I mean,
I think Poland has the best chance to win out.
I would agree with
That
you.
includes Canfield. I'm impressed. I hope I'm not wrong.
I think
I'm impressed with the Bulldogs this year.
You know, I think that if you're looking at all these schedules here, I think that Girard has the best chance of winning out. But I mean,
Who do they play, by the way, this week, Gerard?
Jefferson, Camel, Newton Falls, LeBray, Liberty, or they may have somebody a champion
Jefferson,
first. Champion,
Campbell, Brookfield, Newton Falls, LeBray, and Liberty.
yeah. So I mean, it's
They can go 10-0 and still worry about.
you know
they're
exactly.
at.
But you know, overall, I think you're right. The teams that kind of got it.
And you're taking them over Jefferson, obviously, right? Yes. This-
Yeah, but you know what? I
too.
did. I talked to Coach Pascarella, and I've talked to a couple people that actually went to that Struthers game. Jefferson has a stud sophomore defensive tackle.
Okay.
And in all these games, it's kind of been the resounding thing for a couple of these coaches we talked to. He's been a little bit of a headache, so he may be a guy to look up these next couple of years. But, you know, it's now Canfield's going to get into the meat of their schedule, so we'll see. This week, it's crazy. Like these are big time Is your program arrived, or are you just the same old Canfield, the same old things? I mean, just,
One of them's got to take a
Struthers,
step forward.
Yes,
This is big for one of this.
someone's got to take a big one. And I think whether or not Mooney's record's good or not, this is a huge game for Boardman, I think.
It is. It's a statement game for them. They're either
Because
relevant or
and
non-relevant
if you
right
look-
now.
And if you look at the last few years, they're very streaky. It's a couple wins in a row or a couple losses in a row. So can they rebound after a loss and those big things. So
Let's see, Lakeview, they just beat Hubbard, right? And they played Niles. They'll win that.
Uh-huh.
Lakeview, Niles, you
Yeah.
agree? Lakeview over Niles. Who
and
else?
Niles has been a little bit of a disappointment this year because they had whatever you think in the past,
I
they
like
had high
Savin.
expectations.
I like Savin,
coming in.
and they got the quarterback transferred in. I thought, but hey, you got to win. That's all it's about. Hubbard, I don't know, they're tough sailing this year. They
You
got
know,
Howland this week.
And Howland's another team. They're
They're
kind of.
They're underachievers. Really.
This is the first year that they don't have a back or somebody that has a name that's going to a MAC or a
They
Cincinnati
do have
or
the
somewhere.
linebacker. It's pretty. At least he looks the part. He didn't really show much against Boardman, but they have the linebacker. This is could be a D1 recruit.
I think this week with everybody's matchups and where you're seeing, and I see that WFMJ and WKB they're putting out a couple of those power rankings. I think what's the cool part about is going into the midway of the season, you're kind of going to have a first 5 state championship week this week, to see who the best team in the area is, at least for the first 5 games of the season. I think I would probably say from what we've seen,
If Canfield wins, they're like the big dog.
that's what I mean. I would probably say that those two are, for right now, are probably the 2 best teams in our area.
But I also think if Struthers wins, I think Poland's the big dog in the area. I like Poland anyway. I really.
I'll give you that.
I don't know.
I'll go with that. But then,
I'm
you
not
got to go with the same
downgrading
thing.
Struthers.
I mean, and then what if Boardman has a statement win? Not just, hey, they win
They got
on a
more
couple
statements.
bombs
They
later.
still got
It's
more
just.
statements to make. They need more than Mooney. And
I
Canfield.
agree with you.
They could beat Mooney and lose to Canfield and be, what good is it almost at this point?
I mean, I like the nice part is it's a couple of these names that have. They're the same names that have been around in the past that have down years. They're back, somewhat.
But I think the legend of Willie Mitchell can be created this weekend.
Oh, he could definitely put himself on a map because all eyes are on that game this week. That's the big game this week. I think that Harding and Ursuline being down and Mooney being down a little bit is taking the eyes off of those games. And who would have thought, looking at the schedule before the year, that the big game, week 5, would be Canfield Struthers.
Can we get a police escort from Canfield to Boardman? Since
I mean,
it's a 7:30 start,
maybe
we
I
can
could-
maybe see the first half.
Unfortunately,
what's
my
going on in
dad's
Canfield.
coaching at Ursuline, or we
Yeah,
can just have my dad
that's
take us in the
better.
cruiser. But
Do you think
maybe
we
my
could-
brother could figure it out. But like I said, hey, the way Willie Mitchell's going to get 30 touches that day,
I
and,
would give
and that
him-
kid, the quarterback from Canfield, he's going to get by 7:30. Game might be over at that point. They're going to run the ball, and
At least by halftime, we might know if it's going to be a game or not.
I mean,
If
it's going
not,
to
I'm
see.
going to head over to Mooney and Boardman.
I would
think
say
that could be
it's
my
probably
plan.
going to be a high-scoring game. I would think. I don't know, or is it going to be one of those 14-6?
I know. Jeez.
Tough match, but those are ones where it's like that's that if you want to go see an old school football, everyone talks about it's going to be tough defensive game, and they're going to be running the football. And
It's a plan, though, because the Boardman game's on the radio. We could go the first half with Canfield, see how that's going. If it's a game, stay. If not, we leave and go to Boardman and Mooney. That's what I'm thinking about. I don't know yet.
see that, like I said, that one might be where I hop on the road trip with you because that's not a bad one. Then I can go with that with my wife, hit there, and hop in the car with you and go see the other one.
Springfield, I believe, plays McDonald. Am I wrong about that one, Bob? Do you know? Springfield.
I believe so, and I think Dana Ballish this week, he talked about must-win games and how it's crazy. You think Coach Guerrero was 0-2, and he had a must-win game in Week 3, and that's, and they're kind of righting the ship a little
I think
bit.
so. I think they could
But-
be a factor.
And I'm sure that in the next couple of weeks we'll have them on because they're gonna catch some heat.
Who are you taking that one? You going Springfield?
I'm gonna go with Springfield
Me too.
because they're
We'll get Greer on here, too.
they're a hot team and they got to have one of the better coaching staffs in the entire area.
It'll
So
be a big win for them. And Brungard's
Yeah.
maybe settling in. And
and they're a team I like to see. They're you kind of record these games of the week. I like to see Coach Brungard. I like to see his son play. He looked good towards the end of the year last year, and I think he's supposed to be much improved this year.
your JFK boys, where do we go there?
I actually don't know who they have this week. We'll have to check. We'll have to spot check that one. I usually catch up with JFK's coaches
Yeah,
every
I don't
week.
know if you did.
I didn't get to check in with them. But they had a huge win against Crestview because, as I said, now the good part for JFK had they had 5 transfers come in from different areas. They all had some JFK connections.
Central Catholic or Catholic Central.
Steubenville Central Catholic.
Oh, okay.
So
2-2.
their whole mindset was we need to be above 500 and win our those first 5 because they were very thin. They're banged up. And think about this:
Above 500?
going through those first 5 because
Wow.
they had 5 transfers. 4 of them were starters, potential starters. And the way it worked out, they all had to sit the first 5 games.
Was Girard that much better than them? Do you know? 42 to 7.
You know what?
Or was it just
in talking to their coaches? They said yes. I think 9 out of 10 times they thought that they would get beat. It was, and it's funny because normally the way they played, that was their first Saturday game of the year, and they just said they didn't handle the day right. They were kind of dragging a bit, and those things, those little things when you're a high school coach, that stuff plays into it.
Girard's 4-0, man. Look out.
He said that quarterback. I talked to their defensive coordinators, one of my good friends. He said he had a play.
Dom.
Their linebacker squared the kid up untouched on a blitz, hit him right in the chest. He shook it off and threw a 60-yard dart. So the kid's a player. He said, he's one of the better ones he's seen in the area in a while. So and he coached Chris Durkin, and he keeps giving me that comparison too.
He's
so.
a wild card, I think, for Girard. I think him and the receiver can really make things happen.
But like you said, I mean, if you stumble, because Liberty's coming on right now, and I know that they're maybe not be as good.
No.
But
And Chet Allen's a Michigan guy, so we have to discount him there.
But their quarterback, he's a 4-year starter, and he's a tough player.
We'll see. Who do they play, by the way? Liberty.
Liberty's kind of, I guess, in some ways, they're catching heat a little bit. I believe they dropped a game early in the year that they shouldn't have. I think it was, I believe, to LeBray. And LeBray's a tricky. You talk about another rebuilding team who's had a kid getting recruited for a while. They're down a bit. So that's the hardest part. The craziest part to me is in all these leagues, like, Liberty had Lynn Bowden. So unfortunately, when Chet Allen took over, Liberty was killing everybody in that league, and now everyone's like, come on now, we're waiting for some revenge there. So, I mean, that's like these leagues, they kind of just, it's dog-eat-dog in these leagues. If you check these schedules on Saturday morning, it's like, man, you better hope you're never rebuilding because,
Another big game is Mineral Ridge and Western Reserve, I believe. Mineral Ridge is 4-0 maybe.
Yeah,
That's a
you know
shock.
what? And that coach.
It's at Western Reserve.
The coach is a Mineral Ridge graduate. I was just kind of reading up on him. I don't know him personally, but he came back. He had some success at some other places, and he wanted to bring his alumni back, and he's juiced up about his team. But I mean, yeah, they're playing well, and they're 3-1.
And Berlin Center's 9, Mineral Ridge is 10 in their region. So.
And they're 1-2. What are you talking about? That's why you have to play. You have to schedule. You got to schedule a big game here or there. You can't because of that same idea. You can go 9-1 and not make it.
Do you give Western Reserve the advantage in that one?
I would say, but I mean, like I said,
I'd go with that.
Ever since that South Range game, I'm a little bit off, but we'll see what
Chalk it up to Division 5 team beating a Division 6 team.
We'll see what Cap Bianca. I think they're kind of rolling a little bit now per se, but
so things are pretty much as we anticipated right now. The way the season's going.
Yeah, I would say
JFK's still in it.
Mm-hmm.
Girard's a newcomer. Let's face it. Poland's back from 3-7 last year. Boardman is trying to become relevant, but they blew a chance down in Steubenville to really become a relevant football team. They were up. They were winning that game, and they looked okay. Steubenville's very good, though, and poor Urson in a couple weeks, I'm thinking. But Urson would beat a team like that.
I would say the unfortunate,
they do
and
stuff
you can
like
see
that.
why, I guess, the unfortunate disappointments would be an Urson and Mooney, but all you got to do is look at the schedule and you see why.
Well, I can understand Urson a little bit more. Mooney at 1-3.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they've had a tougher
expecting
schedule. I think.
Sure, and they did have it.
Fitch has been a bit disappointing this year
Fitch
from where
and East.
they've been.
Yeah.
I think.
But their 2 losses are against 2, I believe they're undefeated teams, Brunswick and Hudson. I'm not
so I mean,
sure.
we'll see where they're at because Jakari's a tough player.
It could maybe rebound,
and
but
they can get on
Division
a
1,
run.
Region 1, that's going to be hard to get
I think
enough points in there.
Boardman,
They got to
to
win out.
me,
Fitch basically has to win out, including East. I think this
Boardman
weekend.
they've been in the impressive category to me because
But
that game that they won in Massillon against Massillon Jackson
Yeah.
is a game that
'Cause
they
Jackson
typically
came back and had a good game.
typically may have lost. And, I think that was a
I
big
agree.
step for him. I think
That's why it's such high expectations of going into Steubenville. I thought, okay,
somewhere Howland and Hubbard are somewhere in the middle because you got to believe at some point they're going to be down. They've had
And they are.
some
This
success.
year they're both
I
down.
think Canfield is a bit of a
Canfield's up.
surprise. They're in the impressive category.
Brothers is up.
Harding had a
Harding's
lot
down.
of players back. I mean, granted, you lose your best player,
You
but
lost Slim Bowden.
I know Coach Arnold came back for one more year, and he wasn't going to come back for a 1-3 football team.
Against McKinley, they didn't have a quarterback. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've fixed that or not. Can they run enough to win against Urson? Maybe they can, but
A quiet team we talked of earlier is doing what they're supposed to do is Salem. Mitch, you got a quarterback coming back who's
Like
a talented
Mitch
kid.
Davidson.
That's it. Being that record, that's what you're supposed to do. Poland, as you said, they're back.